This is Fresh Air. I'm Tanya Mosley, and our guest today is Ebon Moss-Bachrach. He's won 2 consecutive Emmy Awards for playing the role of Richie in the FX series The Bear. The show, which has won 21 Emmys altogether, returns this week for its 4th season. Moss-Bachrach spoke to Fresh Air's Ann Marie Baldonado.
When we first meet the character Richie in The Bear, he's loud, abrasive, and ornery. We get the sense that he's like this all the time, but he's also dealing with the recent death of his best friend and business partner Michael, and the return of Michael's younger brother Carmy. Carmy left Chicago to work at the world's best restaurants, and now he wants to transform the neighborhood sandwich shop Richie used to run with Michael. Here's Ebon Moss-Bachrach as Richie, with Jeremy Allen White as Carmy and Iowa Debris as Sydney from the first episode of the series.
Hold on. Listen, let's just have a conversation for a second. Whoa, is this?
This is Sydney. I'm staging today.
You're whatting today?
Sydney, she's helping us out today.
Cousin, you ordering different mayonnaise, bro?
These bananas?
No, all you, chef.
Yeah, all you, chef. This Biff, he was using them to make a giant nut muffin.
It was a play on a panettone. It would have been beautiful if you'd let me finish it, all right?
Richie Jaramovich. Pleasure to meet you, sweetheart.
Don't say sweetheart, you
Sorry,
weirdo.
Carm, you're so woke. I meant nothing by it. Sydney, saying sweetheart's just part of our Italian heritage.
That's beautiful.
Italian
Thank you.
Okay, listen, I'm trying to talk to you, okay? Don't be rude and start doing a million things like, oh, smart, I don't remember having time to take care of your mom for 6. I got all kinds of receipts from my divorce lawyer backing up because all the time I'm spent trying to put your family back together because you're too much of a to come home. The guys are texting me. You're telling them to do all sorts of weird backwards. Don't do that, Carmen. Don't go messing with their heads and ordering different mayonnaise and hiring new bras without talking to me first. This is your brother's house, okay? Yeah, remember? I was running it fine without you.
Why didn't you leave it to you then?
As the show goes on, the viewers grow to love Richie, learning all the ways that he's hurting, which include the end of his marriage and his worry about losing a relationship with his young daughter. Moss-Bachrach has won 2 Emmy Awards for Best Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series for playing Richie. He played Desi on the TV series Girls and starred in shows including Andor and The Punisher. He's also appeared in many plays and films over the decades, and next month, he co-stars in the next big Marvel film, The Fantastic Four: First Steps. Ebon Moss-Bachrach, welcome to Fresh Air.
Thanks, thank you.
I know that you're very protective of the characters that you play, so I want you to know, I mean this in the best possible way. I think that Richie is the character I've done the most dramatic 180 on, maybe ever. We just heard Richie from the beginning of the series, but as the show goes on, I know I'm not alone when I say that we're rooting for Richie. I feel that in many ways, he's the heart of the show, which is a testament to the writing and to your performance. What did you know early on about the journey that Richie was going to take?
I knew that this was a man who was suffering, who was finding himself in a world that he didn't really recognize anymore, who felt under threat, back against the wall, kind of, trying to grab anything that could keep him afloat. And somebody in that position, I think that kind of a part can hold a lot of volatile, dangerous, spontaneous behavior. Sort of like a lot can be justified by somebody who's fighting for their survival. And then as somebody who's at a certain point in my life, I also related to this guy. I'm just seeing, so many things that I loved in my neighborhood, in my city, changing and seeing things, everything becoming a bank. I really related to him in that way.
I will say that The Bear can be a pretty stressful watch. There's yelling often, adrenaline always, and there's, this anxiety that pulses throughout a lot of the time. What is it like to film? Does it feel that pitched as you're doing it? Does it feel that high octane?
It's funny for me to think about a set that would be like how the scenes are. Like they call cut, and then everyone's screaming at each other and putting out the cigarettes that were in the scene and then lighting up cigarettes that they're going to smoke in between takes. No, I mean, to make something that alive feeling in a way, I think, it takes an enormous amount of rehearsal between the actors in the camera department, and the props department. We have such a deep and wonderful crew that, it really requires a lot of sensitivity and listening. I think the people involved in making The Bear listen a lot more than Richie, Sydney, and Carmi. So it's a very loving, fun, calm, well-run set.
I want to play a scene from season 3 of the show. The restaurant is getting off the ground, but both Richie and Carmi are still battling. They've just had a huge fight on the first day of service for friends and family, and they really yelled hateful things at each other. The character Richie even calls Carmi Dee Dee, which is Carmi's mom's name, and calling that may be one of the biggest insults Richie could give because, that mom is pretty, troubled. Yeah. Anyway, they're trying to get back on track and have the restaurant be successful, but they have different ideas about how to do that. So here's the scene.
Hey, Chef Sid, have you seen my iron? Also, when you have a sec, would you ask Chef Carmen what the did with my tables out front?
Chef Sid, would you please tell Richard that I thought I would set him up for success and arrange his tables in a more efficient pattern?
Is that what you did?
Yes, that's what I did. It was really funny. I walked in, and it was so strange. It looked like the person who had done it previously had never left the city of Chicago.
I can leave the city of Chicago out of it.
Zero flow, no efficiency, so I thought I'd give you a hand.
Chef Sid, would you tell Chef Carmen that I can give him a hand if he wants
to give me a hand, he can give me a hand.
I just might suggest that the both of you stop, because I don't like this at all.
Sid, it's fine. Chef Carmen uses power phrases because he's a baby replicant who's not self-actualized, which is maybe why he repeatedly referred to me as a loser.
Richie, I apologize.
No, it's all good. I don't need your apology. I know how you feel now. Also, I respect your honesty and bravery from inside a locked vault.
You know what? Matter of fact, Chef Sydney, I don't remember Richard apologizing for all the he was literally screaming at me while I was in the
Like
fridge.
I love you?
No.
What?
You know what? Out there, that's my dojo. Gets rearranged without my approval or consent, it creates an environment of fear, and fear does not exist in that dojo.
Richard, I added more 2-tops because all those 4-tops were nonsense.
You
Okay?
added the 4-tops in the first place,
I moved the
dog.
flowers because
You added
Jesus
the
Christ,
4-tops
that was
in
a
the
lot of
first place.
flowers.
Those
and
flowers
I said,
are
I'm sorry,
elegant.
but I can't apologizing, and you're screaming.
Am I?
Yeah, you are.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Is it Richard?
You want to get out of my
And
face,
you
Carmen?
both shut up, please.
Sorry, Sid. It's just textbook sublimation. You've seen it once, you've seen it 1,000 times.
I actually don't know what to do right now.
That's a scene from season 3 of The Bear with Io Debris, Jeremy Allen White, and Ebon Moss-Bachrach. When a scene is like that with that much screaming, is it written that way, or are you sort of improvising how you approach the arguing?
That scene. To quote Walter in The Big Lebowski, 8-year-olds, dude. That scene was as written. I mean, at this point in Richie's life, he's trying to do some work. He's reading some self-help books. And, I don't really have that kind of vernacular at my disposal, like, all the self-actualization. And I'm sure there were some changes in words from take to take. But, yeah, I wouldn't call it, like, improvising.
I want to ask you about a few beloved episodes of the show. One is from season 2 called Fishes, which was a flashback episode going back 5 years before Michael's death and the changes at the restaurant. And we learn about their family, the Berzato family. The episode takes place on Christmas. It's a Christmas family dinner. And for those of us who grew up in families where there's a lot of yelling, friction, and also alcoholism, this episode is so good, but it can be triggering. And I know you say, your favorite episodes of The Bear take place with the family of the restaurant, the staff that works there. But this episode has this impressive group of guest actors like Jamie Lee Curtis as the matriarch of the family. There's also Bob Odenkirk, Sarah Paulson, John Mulaney, Gillian Jacobs, and some of the rest of the regular cast members. What was it like filming this episode? Was it as frenetic to film as it was to watch?
Yeah, we shot this over 2 days. It was different. All of a sudden, there was SUVs on set, and the food was a lot better. That was kind of different. I think that they rolled out the red carpet a little bit for all of our esteemed guest stars that week. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because, these were actors that, they're so high-powered and we all know their work so well, but then they were guests on our set. And one thing I've noticed over the years that I've done this is, like, no matter how experienced you are and how many sets you've walked onto, it is always a little bit nervous and you feel a little bit shy, or I feel a little bit shy every time I walk onto a new set. And so I was sort of observing these incredibly talented actors go experience that, and I think, at least for my part, I was very empathetic in trying to make everybody feel at home and welcome.
There's an episode that's focused on Richie's character called Forks, and it's great, and it sort of marks a transition for Richie where he seems to find new purpose. It's season 2. They're trying to open the restaurant, and Carmy has sent your character, Richie, to train at another restaurant, one that's called one of the best restaurants in the world. I've read that you found filming this episode to be lonely. It's a quieter episode, and you're really the only member of the regular cast in it. What was it like filming this one?
Yeah, I found it lonely in a way. I thought the lighting was cold. It had a very different color to it than the rest of our episodes. There's usually a real warmth in the Bear, and this one felt kind of blue and austere, almost like an operating room. I really love the people I work with, and my favorite scenes to shoot, like we said, are like the group scenes where, I'm talking with Liza and Lionel and Edwin, and everyone's sort of talking over each other, and there's this shorthand. And here I was without any of those kind of hallmarks of the experience that I'd grown to love and was look forward to. And I was working with all new actors. I remember the layout of this restaurant was so confusing. I could never find where the bathroom was or where my little I carved out some little. I put my chair in like some corner where I could sort of be alone and look at my lines and think about scenes and stuff. And I could never find my way back to it. I was just confused, I think, most of the time.
I think that comes out in the episode, actually, that starkness and that confusion.
Yeah, it's an episode that I've seen it once kind of through, like squinting eyes behind hands. It's just a lot of for me to take in, to be honest.
One thing that's heartbreaking about Richie is how he mourns the end of his marriage. And because of flashbacks, we know that it seems like on the timeline, as recently as 5 years ago, Richie and his wife were together. They were about to have a baby and they were very much together. But by the time we meet Richie 5 years later, his marriage is over and his ex-wife is with someone else. And I want to play a scene from that episode, Forks. Richie is working at the Michelin star restaurant for that week. He's taking a break and gets a phone call from his ex-wife, played by Gillian Jacobs.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. What's going on? Is Eva okay?
No, she's great. She's totally great. Yeah.
Oh, yo, Jimmy, I got those Taylor Swift ticks.
You did?
Yeah.
She's gonna be so excited.
I know, right?
This is incredible.
Actually, I got 3 if you want to come, You don't have to.
No, it's I that's so sweet. That's so sweet. I just I know you're really busy, so I wanted to just tell you something. And it's a little bit hard to say.
Okay. Are you all right?
I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. I just want you to hear it from me.
What do you mean? What?
Frank proposed to me.
What'd you say?
I said yes.
He's like a really good guy.
That's great, Tiff.
Thank you. And I want you to know that nothing's gonna change between us.
That's awesome.
And I love you.
That's a scene from season 2 of The Bear. Will we learn more about what happened to their marriage in that relatively short period of time?
Yeah, that scene, Bear, a comedy.
Yeah, that
First
seems
of all,
brutal.
Gillian Jacobs, such a great actress. I love working with her. Unfortunately, most of her scenes are phone calls because they don't have much of a relationship anymore. Actually, I do think there's a lot of tenderness there, and she genuinely loves him. Do we learn more about what happened with them? We spend more time with them together as parents, as exes. In terms of like a literal sense of like a flashback of the two of them, that's not something that we've shot.
Do you do work to fill in what might have happened to them?
Oh, yeah. No, I spent a lot of time kind of daydreaming and thinking about these things and filling in the blanks. And these are thoughts and fantasies and ideas that I will never share.
Understood. I think one thing that makes viewers love Richie is the way that he is with his daughter. Even though he's divorced, he's so devoted to her and doing the right thing by her and trying to be a good dad. Besides having what seems like a tough upbringing where he sort of, so much so that he becomes part of the family that owned the restaurant. You have 2 daughters, and I think that being a parent of girls can be a very specific parenting experience. What did you want to make sure that you brought to Richie as a father?
I mean, some of the things that are challenging for him and making it difficult for him to navigate his way through the world, like loyalty, honesty in a way. So these things I think are sometimes hindrances and sometimes, they're really great qualities. And I wanted to see the kind of converse of some of these things in his relationship with his daughter. Obviously, he's a dad that would do anything for his daughter, like so many parents, like most parents, I would say. And then he's really into her world, and where he doesn't listen as well on the outside with her. His time with her is so limited that it's so valuable, and I think each minute is something that he really invests himself and tries to be present in a way that he's not when he's at the restaurant. I don't know, I just enjoy doing scenes with that little actress so much. I think she's so great, and we, I don't know, she's so fascinating. She's such an eccentric young girl.
There's a scene later in that episode where Richie has completely won everyone over at the fancy restaurant. He's really getting it and getting the value of his work. And he's driving home singing along to the Taylor Swift song Love Story. And it's this great triumphant moment for Richie. How did that moment come about? Like, was that always the song? I read you weren't necessarily a Swiftie before you shot this. It's just such a great moment.
Yeah, it is a great moment. I'm not going to comment about my Swiftiness or non-Swiftiness, but it's that's a minefield either way. It's just
I'm sorry.
It just doesn't look good for me.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't believe I did that to you.
Yeah, please, come on. But I think that scene is a great scene, and it's so nice to spend just a few minutes, like, singing something loudly and celebrating and having exuberance and driving and singing along with a song that you love loudly. I mean, that's such a visceral, great kind of release. Something that we don't see that much, I think, in movies and TV shows, or certainly stuff that I'm not being asked to do all that much. So, yeah, I really enjoyed that evening. I love those speed bumps. I love the squeak of the suspension in the car. But that was always written with that scene. I'm sure it was a process, finding her, tracking her down, getting permission to use the song. But I don't really know about the details of that process.
Well, there's something perfect about that song because it's like a triumphant young love story, which seems like an echo to Richie's story. And then also just that he got her Taylor Swift tickets. That's like, I mean, that's like Dad of the Year material. So I feel like it just wraps it all together. And then also as you're driving, you're still cursing as you're driving. The character Richie is still cursing at other drivers, which I think is also pretty Richie could.
Yeah, and what you couldn't see is all these Arby's, these empty Arby's cups in the back seat just jumping up with every kind of speed bump. The chaos within the car.
One of the first film roles you had was in the Wes Anderson film The Royal Tenenbaums. You played a bellboy at the hotel where Royal Tenenbaum, played by Gene Hackman, where he lives. Here's a little bit of that scene, or all of that scene.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a call for you, Mr. Tenenbaum.
Who is it, Frederick?
Mr. Pagoda?
That's you in the Royal Tenenbaums. What was it like being in this film? Was it one of the first times you were on a set? And if that's true, what do you remember about it?
I rewatched that movie the other day with one of my kids. And, God, it's such a good movie.
Yes.
I'm so happy to be a part of it, and even in this tiny, tiny little way. And I think finally enough time has gone by where I was like, you know what? I'm pretty good as Frederick the Bellhop. I'm okay. I'm okay. It was the second time I was on a set, probably my first time in such a fancy hotel. I remember mostly Wes Anderson's attention to detail, him coming down like a tailor and sort of adjusting the hem of my pants, fixing my hair, adjusting my little pillbox hat. I mean, I got that part because I had quite a good head of hair.
Yeah, at the time you had kind of curly hair that comes out of the pillbox, sort of at the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of explodes. It's like a upside-down volcano or something.
Well, one of your breakout roles was in the TV show Girls. You started out as a guest star who was only going to be in a few episodes, but then became a series regular. When viewers meet you, you're auditioning for a Broadway play, and you meet the character Adam, who's played by Adam Driver, who's also auditioning and just starting out. And by the way, Desi is a successful actor. You know, he auditioned for a Broadway play and he got the role. How did you see Desi?
I saw him as a little bit of a con man, really well put together on the outside, but a lot of crisis and chaos going on internally. A bit of a searcher. I feel like he was not committed necessarily to acting. He was a musician. I'm sure he painted. And a lot of maybe like clothing that, if I'm being like really not charitable, like maybe pre-distressed jeans.
Yeah, a lot of pre-distressed denim.
Yeah. But also, you know, somebody that felt very deeply, loved deeply, a baby.
Yeah. A little bit. I want to play a scene from Girls. Here, Desi is a regular cast member and is now with the character Marnie. They started out as a musical duo with some success. Eventually, Marnie and Desi get married, but they're also this musical duo, too. In this scene, they're arguing about what music to use in their upcoming showcase for a record label, which is important to their future career as musicians. Here's the scene.
You know what? We should open our showcase with this song.
We only get 2 songs for the showcase.
Yes, we get an opener and a closer, and this should be our opener.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great song.
Thank you.
But this is not one of our top 2.
What do you like better?
Rattlesnake Cowgirl, Heart for Sale, Whoa Wow Wonderful, song from Marcus Garvey, Oaxaca Blues, Cocopelli Shelley. I mean, that's top 6 right there.
Yeah, I know. I just feel like it's our chance to show some range.
Okay, see what I think about the showcase?
Yeah.
We put our best foot forward.
Agreed.
And if half of our set is a syrupy love song, that's a total mislead, babe, you know?
But we sing love songs.
Not really. We sing like modern American folk with an indie edge.
I tell people that we're like she and him, but with actual romance.
But we're nothing like she and him.
We're not?
Whoa.
You're blowing my mind right now.
Marnie, we
I
are
hope
nothing.
we're like she and him. My God.
We are nothing. Are you kidding me right now? You're freaking me out. We are nothing like she and him, okay? We are nothing like that band. How can we have completely different takes on the same band that we were both in? That is bizarre to me.
I'm starting to wonder if maybe you don't like Close Up because I wrote it instead of you.
No, I like this song.
Are you sure?
I loved this song.
Okay. What do you mean loved this song?
And then you told me that you're writing she and him songs, and now, like, my whole I gotta do a heavy rethink here.
How about we talk about the partnership that I thought we were in?
We're
Whereas
in a
recently
partnership.
it's just been me writing while you tinker with your motorcycle.
That's my mode of transportation, Marnie. That's my mode of transportation.
That doesn't change anything.
That's how I get. That's weak, dude. That's my mode of transportation.
That's a scene from Girls. Did you watch Girls at the time when it was airing?
I didn't. No. I watched a little bit of it the first season, but I was like so jealous that I really wanted to be a part of it. And so it was complicated for me to watch it.
It was filming right there. It was filming like right by you.
Yeah, exactly. I would walk by. And then once I was working on it, I wouldn't watch it much just because I didn't want it to sort of affect the way I was going to continue to work on it. You know, I didn't want it to make me self-conscious.
What do you think of that scene?
Oh my God, that scene is that list of songs is really funny.
Next month, you truly enter your Marvel era. You've been in the Marvel universe before, but you're becoming a main character in the new movie, The Fantastic Four: First Steps. You play the character Ben Grimm, who develops mutant supernatural powers and becomes the Thing. This first movie is coming out, and then you'll reprise your role in the two new upcoming Avenger films. So you're definitely, in for more than one movie. What was it like being in this film?
Yeah, very different kind of part for me. I guess the biggest departure would be that it's motion capture, performance capture. So I wear these groovy looking pajama kind of tights and top, and then I have wires strapped to various points of my body, and then I have a helmet with kind of GoPro-looking cameras, kind of on a little extended gimbals right in front of my nose to sort of capture my eyes and my mouth and my facial expressions.
And where are you what space are you in when you're doing this?
I'm on the set, and I haven't seen the movie yet, but one thing I do know is that the art department and our production design is really spectacular, and so there were really pretty incredible set builds, like things that I had never seen before. That like reminded me of like old style, like D.W. Griffith kind of like movie making, huge, big, sprawling sets of New York and Times Square and the Lower East Side, incredible mid-century modern house that the Fantastic Four live in. So I'm just on all these really cool sets and very much involved as I would be, I'm just in there with the other people in the scene, and I'm interacting with them, and they're in costumes, and I'm just sort of in this other strange, techie kind of placeholder for what will then be built around me, animated, this much bigger orange rock guy.
Can you describe your character, Ben Grimm, who is the Thing? I'm not sure how much of the original story from the comic book series and from other movies are still part of this character.
People feel so strongly about this. You can't stray too far from the path. You got to keep it pretty canon. Ben is from the Lower East Side. He's from Yancey Street, which is maybe like a little bit like Delancey Street, maybe. And he's a school friend of Reed Richards. He's a football player. He's a wrestler. He becomes a star pilot, really amazing pilot. And Reed is this genius scientist that convinces Ben and his wife Sue and her brother to go up and to steal the ship and go into outer space. And there's like a storm, some kind of space storm, and these gamma rays penetrate the ship and they all return changed forever. Ben is more changed because he has physically been altered. He has this new rock kind of dermis, which is so he looks like a monster. And he doesn't change back and forth like the Hulk or anything. That's just how he is for the rest of his life, with a couple of exceptions.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, your character stays as a rock.
Yeah, that's really key to his psyche, I think.
I haven't seen the Fantastic Four yet, but I like that you're playing another character that has this rock exterior. In this case, literally, he's made of rock. You've said that this acting, compared to your other roles, it's almost like another job. I was thinking that you show so much emotion through your face and through your physicality. What did you mean that it's almost a different kind of job? What are other ways that it's different?
I would think about it a lot in two ways. Over the course of a day, like my brain would go back and forth. On one speed was that I was just trying to imbue this character with as much humanity as I could, because I felt like I had to in some ways fight through all of this animation, and because I was interested in, I think it kind of was similar to probably Ben's experience on a day, whereas he knows how he seems and he knows he looks like this horrible monster, and so he's making a concerted effort to bring his humanity through to make people feel okay, to make people be less mean towards him, to sort of undercut his external appearance. So I had that was going in one way, while simultaneously I had all this physical freedom, and that in many ways this technology and this animation was like a mask, and I wasn't confined to my body and my physical appearance the way that I am for any other part I've ever done. So there was things I could do with movement, with heaviness, and the way he has huge hands, huge feet, the way he would interact with things. So that became a much more imaginative fantasy, sort of almost like how I would play make-believe when I was a kid, you know.
So you are thinking about movement in a different way.
Yeah, well, certainly. I mean, I had to. He couldn't really move the way that I can move. I mean, he's very, very heavy. He weighs thousands of pounds. At the same time, he's very nimble. But, I mean, I'm a kind of uncoordinated, lanky sort of, I don't know, wet rubber band or something. So he's a much heavier, grounded dude.
Now, it was recently announced that you will be on Broadway next year in a stage play, Dog Day Afternoon. It's based on the same real-life robbery that the 1975 movie Dog Day Afternoon was based on. You star with John Berthal, who is someone you co-star with in The Bear. You were also on the show The Punisher with him, and I think you've done plays together. I actually read that you recommended him for the part of Michael on The Bear. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I got John that job. So he got me this Dog Day Afternoon gig. So now we're even.
Well, so what was it about him that you thought would be good for Michael, who's the best friend and, the brother who passed away, who committed suicide?
And we don't really see him, correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't really see him at all in the first season until maybe just the very end of the season in a flashback. Is that?
I think that's
Am I
true.
remembering that correctly? I think something like that. And in my mind, when I was reading the scripts, I kind of felt like we would never see him. And I thought that was probably the way to play it, because he's so talked about. He's this specter sort of informing everything. And I just thought it would be disappointing, or maybe I just like that idea of let everybody in the audience, let them have their own idea of who this person is, who's larger than life. And so when Chris Storer, our showrunner, was asking me if I had any ideas for who could play Michael Berzatto, I was like, I don't think we should ever see him. I just think that will just diminish anything. And then at one point I was like, you know what, actually, John is such a larger-than-life, magnetic, charismatic person. I was like, what would you think about John Bernthal? And I suspect that Chris all along was sort of encouraging me to reach out to John. I'm pretty sure that he all along, he was just waiting for me to come to this realization. And I think John's, terrific, really, really great in this part. And also like one of the few actors that could fill the shoes of this guy.
What is your connection to the story and the film Dog Day Afternoon? Because you'll be playing the role of Sal, which was originated by the actor John Casale, who appeared in only 5 movies before passing away too young. But the 5 movies were The Godfather, The Conversation, Godfather Part 2, Dog Day Afternoon, and The Deer Hunter. He was also a theater actor, like an actor's actor. I was wondering if a young Ebon Moss-Bachrach dreamed of having an acting career like John Cazale.
Oh, 100%. I mean, what a gift. What an incredible gift he was. Yeah, The Conversation's like probably my favorite movie. I mean, it's a tragedy that he died so young, but it is.
Of lung cancer.
In his short time here, oh my gosh, what a force.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do feel it's like I'll try to do my best to honor this guy, but we're gonna make it a bit different, make it something else.
Yeah, so it's based on the same source material, which was this true story of a bank robbery that happened in New York. And that became the movie, but the playwright is going back to that original material, too.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in that robbery and before that robbery that's not in the movie. That's really interesting that we're digging into. There's a lot there.
When you announce something like that, a Broadway show that you're going to do next year, what is the process of preparing? Because I'm sure you're doing other things, too, but is it just that that's sort of when it fits into your schedule, or do you do things in the year lead up, or both?
My process right now is to pretend that it's not happening for as long as possible and to delay. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very, very, very excited to do this thing and to spend a few months with my dear friend John, and I'm sure it'll be a wonderful cast. And I like nothing more than like working on new American plays. It's kind of my favorite thing to do, to be in that rehearsal room when the writer's there. The writer's alive. They're there. It's a work in progress. It's a deep, deep collaboration between writer, director, dramaturg, and the whole cast. It's like everyone's getting their hands dirty. It feels very alive and exciting. And it's been a long time since I've done that.
Ebon Moss-Bachrach, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Ebon Moss-Bachrach speaking with Fresh Air's Ann Marie Baldonado. His film, The Fantastic Four: First Steps, comes out next month, and Season 4 of The Bear premieres tonight. This is Fresh Air.